How would you like to scale your business, make your company more efficient and more profitable? Praxis Metrics can show you where your blind spots are, help you get to the next level, and help you scale your business rapidly. Data is knowledge, knowledge is power, so data is power. Get your free consultation and build, scale, and power your business by understanding what data can do for you. Go to praxismetrics.com/nice guys. I've interviewed the founders of Praxis Metrics, AJ Yeager and Megan Connell, and they know data and they know your business. One of their data experts will get on the phone with you absolutely free and do an analysis of your business, telling you where having knowledge of the data can help you build the bottom line and the top line too. Make more sales, get more leads, grow your business, and be more profitable. Data can do that. Praxis Metrics knows how. A free consultation is just a click away at praxismetrics.com/nice guys.
If you're listening to this recording, it means I'm dead already. Oh, wait a second. Oh, that's a different recording. Here's what's coming up on the Nice Guys today.
And as we started to look at it, I was like, wow, I don't really use most of what we're doing. I don't use the house. So that sort of led us to the path of looking after we went camping, pretend camping for a day, to look and go, could we live in a smaller space? And what would that be like? So it turns out a 34-foot RV is smaller space for sure.
And now, broadcasting from the hatchback of a 72 Ford Pinto, broadcasting from a secret bunker underneath Fort McHenry, broadcasting from the abandoned food court at the White Flint Mall, broadcasting live from their mother's basement, broadcasting from no closer than 100 yards from their court-mandated distance from Tim Ferriss, broadcasting from the back room of El Pollo Hermanos. It's Los Chicos de Niza por Negocios. Need an education on how to grow your business? The Nice Guys are here to help. Learn about great customer service, networking, and how just being nice can help you prosper. Now, here are your hosts, Doug Sandler and Strickland Bonner.
Nice Guy community. So check this out. Just 4 months ago, they sold and gave away everything and anything that they could fit. Well, what did you do? Did you guys actually give away did you sell it? Because I would have made a lot of money if it was up to me.
We sold it.
And we gave it away.
All right. So a little bit of both. They kept their kids, of course. What they got now have a home on wheels and they hit the road. Currently, they're residing in Florida for the winter. They now want to create a new way to live and to love and to last. They want to be an inspiration to others who wish to do the same. See, Fresh and Sandra Scott, married 24 years with 2 daughters and 1 Shih Tzu named Luna. I love that. Now traveling full-time in a 34-foot motorhome they simply call Dylan. That's Dylan, correct?
Dylan.
Yeah,
Dylan. So Dylan is a boy. Fresh and Sandra are in the beginning stage of creating a community of like-minded individuals, and they call that community LoopHackers, a community for anyone who wants to reevaluate not just some things, everything. Everything. It's like the Twilight Zone. Who is seeking a love affair with life and themselves? I know I am. Experts in love and life. Welcome, Fresh and Sandra, to the Nice Guys on Business podcast.
Outstanding. Happy to be here.
Happy to be here.
I forgot. Sometimes there's only 2 people. Most of the time, there's only 2 people. So I apologize, Sandra, for stepping on you and your comments. I want to talk about Dylan for a second. You know, whenever I see an RV in a parking lot or in an RV place, resting spot, I always think people are cooking meth in there because of Breaking Bad. Please dispel the myth that all RVs that are a little bit older are not meth labs.
They're definitely not. That's thing one. And you know what? I'm going to be honest. I actually kind of thought the same thing when she brought this idea to me about, hey, we should get on the road and get an RV. I'm thinking, I'm not doing that. I don't camp. It's not what you think it is. We went out, we looked at they're beautiful spaces to live in for sure. And everybody, honestly, that I've met no meth heads. I've met no crackheads. I've met only really nice people. It has been an amazing experience, something to do out of the blue.
So Sandra, I got to ask you this because most of the time, and I'll use a Yiddish word here that my mom has always given to me. It's always the fakakta idea of the guy to like drop everything and just run away with his wife, or sometimes without his wife, but in this case with his wife. And oftentimes it's the woman that really, you've made that home, you've stayed in that home, and I know the home that you guys moved from, which was a beautiful home. Mm-hmm. So what the hell? Why did you decide whose idea was this, and why did you decide that you wanted to drop everything and leave?
Well, my 50th birthday, which was a couple years ago.
I understand.
We went camping, pretend camping, because I grew up a country girl, unlike my city husband. And I thought this will be great. We'll just make a day of memories. We'll pretend camp, meaning we don't really have a means to camp. We do have a tent, but we don't have all those things that we needed. So we took the tent, we took each other, and we sat there and built a fire and played spades at night and just had a ball. But seeing all of the residents that were living in the state park that we went to opened like our brains to, wait a minute, people actually do this for real and more than just a weekend or a day, which got us into looking at YouTube videos of people that do this. That was like a year in, right? We're just watching people live their life this way. And we were
but let me just break in for just one quick second, because I really like making grilled cheese sandwiches, but I don't want to open up a restaurant. I mean, I like eating, but I don't want to own a franchise for a fast food establishment. It's like, okay, so how did you? Yeah, sorry, go ahead. I'm going to shut up now.
There is freedom in this that we have never known. To be able to not be tied to a home or specific set of bills.
So therein is the truth. And I agree with you about the grilled cheese thing, because I'm thinking the same thing. I'm like, I don't know if I really want to do that. But we were starting to look at life and go, why are we doing the things that we're doing every day? You saw the house. It's a beautiful house, 4,800 square feet and the whole ordeal. But I was probably only living in 200 square feet of the house.
Right. Like I live in my office and my kitchen, and every once in a while I use the bathroom. So I agree with you. I think we got about maybe 300 square feet of my entire house that I live in. And I don't even live in a big house in LA. I just live in a small little tiny house. But at the same time, you're living in such a microcosm of that place anyway.
It's such a small amount of space that you're actually using. And I started to look at it, and look, I add the stress of regular life to everything as to why I'm paying for all this space. Am I heating all 4,800 square feet? Am I supplying water for all this? And as we started to look at it, I was like, wow, I don't really use most of what we're doing. I don't use the house. So that sort of led us to the path of looking, after we went camping, pretend camping for a day, to look and go, could we live in a smaller space? And what would that be like? So it turns out a 34-foot RV is smaller space for sure. But I went and looked at it and I was like, I think I could do this. I think I could actually make the transition.
So I know the community that you came from, because I was a part of that community also. We both were, the reason that Nice Guy community, that Fresh and Sandra and myself even know each other, is we both were represented by the same agent, and to a degree still represented by that same agent, although in a much smaller capacity for both of us. And I watched the rise of this guy that came into our office one day and was an amazing act. He emceed big events, bar and bat mitzvahs in the DC marketplace, and I did the same thing. And I watched all of the pressure fill with him and with me the same way. We were both doing 75 to 90 gigs a year that were in the bar and bat mitzvah space and killing it, making a ton of money, but having absolutely no free time. And I looked at it and I said, probably 6 or 7 years ago, I said, I have to figure out what's the next step for me. I can't see myself. And as I joke around with people in my new world about what I did in my old world, and I said I couldn't see myself on the dance floor at 65 years old doing the cha-cha slide, or the Cupid shuffle. And I didn't think people were going to want to be there with me either. So, what's a little bit of your story and why you guys decided to make that transition? I know it wasn't just a money thing. It was partly a money thing for me, but it was also partly what happens next in my life.
Mm-hmm.
So what a lot of people that, like, me and you've seen me, and you're right. I was out there and I was hustling, and the level just kept going up. The pressure kept going up. I suffer from massive anxiety on a regular basis that I pretty much hid from the public, from everybody, from all the people that I work with. And everybody's like, hey, Fresh is the party guy. Well, I lived with anxiety and stress. And I think the stress was starting to build up almost like a cork. It was getting ready to pop. And I started to shut down, like mentally shut down. I literally, for the most part, would do everything that I had to do for work. And then everything else I was shut off.
Yeah.
And that stress started to build up.
So Sandra, talk about that for a second, how that was to receive a guy like Fresh at Home, who is in the public eye, this really bounding, happy, energetic guy. And for him to come home and give you, that he kind of, did he withdraw when he got home? What was he like?
That ended up being the case for sure. I mean, he still played the game at home too. He had to be dad, he had to be husband, he had to keep everyone happy. He had to be sure everyone was well cared for. And so he kept this persona going on at home too. And at some point, though, it did come crashing down where he couldn't pretend at home anymore either. So that was difficult for the whole family to see and witness and watch. But, we really just created space for him and just, I was just super proud of him to allow the surrender that he did, because he could have just kept playing the game. But I think he felt safe enough to finally just surrender it. And he was quiet for weeks.
Yeah.
Absolute weeks, where all he did was draw or play music. And then all we did as a family is just, kept checking in and you need anything, and pretty much just left him be, because it is very much a wife and a husband or any kind of, support task to fix it. I want to fix it. I want to make it better. And we just knew whatever this was he was going through was important for him to go through, because he eventually let go of it all, and that included a home, that included all of it,
Right. And I know that as a part of my transition, I'm a I guess make bold moves kind of guy, and you guys definitely are that type of couple. Mine ended with a marriage that dissolved seemingly overnight. Huge surprise to me. And for me, the bold move was I just needed to get out of town. And I moved literally from the East Coast to the West Coast and just said, I'm going to continue doing this emceeing thing in the bar and bat mitzvah world through this agency, but I just got to get out of here. I can't even imagine being in this space. Yeah. But that's such a drastic move, and you guys, the same thing. It's one day you had to say, we're picking up, we're doing this, we're moving. For me, it almost was like, it was a little bit easier because it was only me. And in your case, you were uprooted your entire family. So tell me a little bit about what some of the symptoms are for somebody that might be in our listening community, in our nice guy community. And they're thinking, well, I just want to drop it all and go too. But I could do that as a single guy, or I could do that as a married couple. What does that look like to you guys? And what are some of the signals that you need to see before you do it?
It's the signal. Honestly, it's a lot of solitude. You start to retract into yourself for the most part. And look, every couple, you said in the intro, you actually said 24 years. Technically now it's actually, we've been married 25 years.
We have?
It's 25.
What?
That was Sandra's fault.
Wait, you're right.
It's 25. I'm the one that knows.
I keep messing up.
It's 25 years, and through 25 years of marriage, you sort of learn, you learn your partner, and you learn all the things that make them go. But also at the same time, you're in a space where you're like, oh, wow, this isn't normal. When things start to become not normal is when I believe you have to actually ask yourself the question, okay, what's happening? What's going on? And for me, being an entertainer, being super excited guy all the time, I want to make everybody laugh and I want to be the life of the party, to all of a sudden I'm home and the only thing I can do is draw and do music. I think you have to look at that and actually ask yourself the real question, what's going on, not just with yourself, but with your spouse, to say, hey, what can I do and what can we do? So I think a lot of it is really, you can see the withdrawal of a person. And that happens in business and in regular life too. Same thing with your job. If you're on your job and all you do is get up and go to your job, do the tasks that are necessary, and then you immediately leave, well, that's something you should probably question.
Right.
If you're not actually living, I think that's one of the things you should be looking at.
So Fresh, and again, this is a part of, I guess, a little bit because I know a lot of the backstory for you, and we've been friends for years. But you seem to take, very similar to me, you seem to take some of the adversity in your life, and you're going to figure out not only are you going to thrive in it, but then you end up figuring out how to make a business out of it. Yeah. And then so when we started talking, I guess a month or so ago, about getting you on the show to talk about this new business, LoopHackers, or this new community that you're building, I was really curious about, sometimes it's challenging to share your shortcomings with the world. And then sometimes there are other opportunities that you can find in it as well. So tell me a little bit about LoopHackers and what it's all about, what it means to you, and how you've turned some of these challenges that you've had into a community.
So LoopHackers, which is the name I love, it's my wife's idea. It is the idea that your life is this circle that goes on, and for everybody gets it, and anybody doesn't, I love your life. But it is, you get up, you go to work, you do your job, you come home, you eat dinner, you watch an hour of TV, you go to bed, and then you start that process over and over and over again. It's a giant loop. And for us, hacking the loop is trying to break that cycle. Not saying that you have to quit your job, but what can you do that breaks the cycle of get up, go to work, do your job, come home, eat dinner, watch an hour of TV, start all over again. So for us, it is talking to people, trying to get them to find ways that they can actually communicate and love themselves, because that's one of the big ones, and it's probably one of the harder ones for me, is to put me in front of everybody else in the world, which is what we do, especially as entertainers. You know this. Yeah. It's always, we do for everybody else. Well, we're figuring out that LoopHackers is about loving yourself first so that you can then help and love everybody else. So we're breaking the cycle. And it's, for us, it started with, we don't have to have a house. Although life teaches you, and people in society says, you have to get up, get a job, go to college and get the house and do all of these things. And that's not necessarily true. So for us, we broke the loop by getting rid of the house and moving into a smaller space, into an RV. We're a lot more confined, but we're actually closer as a result. I'm still working, but I'm not working as much. I'm breaking the loop. So that's what LoopHackers really means for us, is to find ways to break the cycle. And I think that starts with asking yourself the questions that are in your head that you don't talk to anybody else about. And we all go through that.
We all, yeah, there's everyone that we talk to feels stuck, and they do not know how to feel unstuck. They do not know how to remove themselves from this hamster wheel life that they're living. And so we have been having conversations with people we know, people we don't know, just talking about ways that we can love ourselves better, ways that we can shake up the monotony, ways that we can be better service and more giving. And I don't know what's going to be created out of this from LoopHackers, but I'm just excited.
So and what's interesting about it is it seems like you're making, and I'm not disagreeing with you, I'm just curious what your thoughts are. You build the connection between that loop that people are on over and over and over and over again, day in and day out, and people that don't love each other, love themselves. So are you maybe saying that there is a connection between people that are a little bit drone-like in their daily activities, in and day out, and the relationship that they have with themselves?
Absolutely. I believe. And so
it's the key to everything.
Yeah. Sandra, she just did a thing for her birthday, which is 30 days of loving yourself. It's 30 little tasks of something you can do every day to love yourself. When you start to look at something that you can do every day, you don't realize how much self-deprivation there is, how much we actually beat ourselves up. One of the greatest examples she uses is every time somebody takes a picture of you, and most of us do this, except for narcissists, most of us go, oh, I hate that picture. We immediately look at that and find the negative. It's like that for a lot of pieces of life. And I think all of that is what allows you to get into that loop. You know, I know there are very few people who, when they were kids, said, oh, I'm going to go sit at a cubicle for the rest of my life. That wasn't right. That wasn't your dream as a kid. Your dream was to be a fireman, a Superman, a police officer, all these wonderful things. And then somewhere along the line, we stopped loving ourselves, and then We just did what we were supposed to do.
I want to bring back the picture thing because I read this from some like 16-year-old little wonderful thing on social media who said, when there is a group picture and you view that group picture on Instagram, Facebook, is an actual picture, you are looking for yourself in that picture. So if it's a group picture and you're in it, you are looking for yourself. You're not paying any attention to what anybody else looks like in that picture but you.
I can relate to that.
And that hit me. Like, I'm thinking, we zero into that picture, we look for ourselves, and then we critique it. Ew, hate that. Why did I stand like that? We're not paying any attention to anyone else. But when you look at that and you think, if everyone's doing that, they're just paying attention to themselves in this picture and berating themselves.
Right.
And why are we doing it? Because no one else is looking at us. It's this weird thing that I look back and I think, wait a minute. There's so much that we are doing to just squash ourselves in life. I mean, so much, from the way we look, the way we think about ourselves, how we're always putting ourselves down.
So the Loop Hacker community, do you, as you start to really grow this, do you see this as people that are on this hamster wheel day in and day out? Is their only option to go full bore and turn 180 degrees and go the other way, or do you have small steps along the way for somebody that says, "Hey, I'm living this life of yeah, it's the same thing over and over again, but what would be an incremental step before I have to actually sell everything and buy an RV?"
It is just one decision. It's just one different decision in your life that can shake something up. It's just one.
It's so simple. You don't have to do what we did, which is throw everything away and sell it all and buy an RV and move across the country. That's not realistic. But what you can do is, instead, if you're on the loop, and your loop is, I'm going to get up, I'm going to go to work, I'm going to come home, I'm going to eat dinner, I'm going to watch TV, and then I'm going to go to bed. Well, take one of those pieces out. Maybe you don't watch TV.
Maybe you go for a walk.
Maybe you go for a walk. Or maybe you say, you know what, instead of watching TV, I really did want to be an artist when I was a kid. Take that hour and all of a sudden go start to draw, or find a class that you can take. Slowly but surely, you can take small pieces of things that you don't necessarily like that are part of that wheel, and you can create a much bigger wheel for yourself, or a completely different one. But small pieces. Everybody has a voice in their head that's talking to them all the time. And I think we don't actually listen to it. We hear it, but then we go, no, I can't do that.
All right. So hold on, before you go on, this is a good thing, because now you just said, this voice in your head that you're hearing. So share with me some of the things that you think that people are saying to themselves that would lead them to believe, hey, you know what? Even if I don't go to the 180 degree approach and sell everything and buy an RV and drive across the country or drive to Florida, this is probably the beginning of making a change. So what are those words that people are saying to themselves, or those action items that they are doing that they start to realize, I probably need to do something differently?
One of the big ones is, I don't have time to do that. I don't have time to do this. Inside of your head, you're like, man, I really wish I could be an artist, or I wish I could be a singer. And then people will say, I don't have time. Those two things go hand in hand. I don't have time, and I don't think I can do that. I don't have the money. Most of it is, when you start hearing excuses in your head, that's a signal. And if you're in a relationship and you're hearing all these excuses as to why you and your partner can't do this or can't do that, excuses are a big one. You start to hear those, I think you have to pause it and go, okay, wait, something else is going on in my life. Because when you were a kid, if you really think about it, kids don't have excuses as to why they can't do something. Mm-hmm. If a kid says, hey, I'm going to go run, I'm going to go jump in the lake, they're literally going to go run and jump in the lake. There's no excuse as to why. And as adults, we will come up with 400 reasons. We'll say, oh, well, I can't because the water's cold. Oh, I can't do this because I have my phone in my pocket. We'll come up with all these different excuses. So the voice is really the counter voice to you, or what your current state is. So if you're a person, you're like, I know you, Doug, as a person, you were feeling it. You were hearing the voices saying, wow, something's got to change.
Yeah. Yeah.
You don't necessarily know what it is, but you know something has to change.
So,
And I think that's where we're at.
So Sandra, when you talk to your daughters about this, what was the reaction that you got when you said, well, and again, I could be completely like thinking the other thing, thinking just as Fresh was saying that, kids are like, yeah, this is a great adventure. Let's try it. What was your kids' reaction? Was it, this will be a great adventure, or no, I don't want to go because I have all of these ties here to where I am right now?
They have always, for every move that we've ever done, have always been those kids that said, let's do it. Let's go. We're ready, So we moved how many times? 20?
We moved 20 times. We've married 25 years. We've moved 20 times.
And it's just, to go to a better neighborhood, nicer house, or a different county or whatever. There were always just minimal reasons, but we just love that starting over thing. And that's the cool thing about RV life is you can start over every day if you want. I can drive this, well, not me, but my honey can drive this thing, to any state,
We're going to come see you.
Any city, anywhere we want, any day we want. And I love that. I love that we can do that. So right now, Poe, our 21-year-old, is with us, and our almost a 24-year-old, whose birthday's in 4 days, she is converting a van currently with her boyfriend, and they will be mobile soon, probably within a matter of weeks. So they'll be meeting us out somewhere. So
wow. So I would imagine that the people that you're running into and that you're associating with now completely understand, because these are many of them, while they may not be RV for life kind of people, they are RVers because they enjoy the RV lifestyle. So to a degree, you have a really good market that you're running into to introduce the LoopHackers community to. What's the response that you're getting from them versus what's the response that you're getting from the people that are, they're 40 years in the same community. They're not moving because they got family, friends, everything else behind where they are right now?
The most interesting thing is that everybody that we run into, even people who are homestead, they're where they are, they're still like, wow, you're living my dream. And that's one of the things that I hear just about every day. You're living my dream. And my question is always, well, why don't you just do it or just start the process? And everybody, it goes back to what I said, everybody has an excuse. Oh, I can't do it right now. I can't do this. And look, I live in a space right now where I believe that we take life for granted. We take for granted the fact that we actually can do it a year from now. So I say,
or when we retire,
or when you retire, or whenever that is.
Right.
You don't know that you're actually going to get that. So I'm not saying, hey, throw all of your stuff away, but I am saying, hey, start to look at it and hear that voice that's in your head. I'll give you a great example. We were at a drum circle, which is one of the craziest and most fun things to do, to see 60 people all in a circle playing drums and dancing. But one of the interesting things that I saw is, even in myself, and I'm going to say me for sure, I could have just gone out there and got in the middle of the circle and danced, which is whatever. There's hundreds of people there actually, and they're all just dancing and having a good time. But there was this voice in my head that kept saying, oh, you can't do that. People are going to make fun of you. People are going to talk about you. They're going to look at you strange. So as a result, I didn't actually jump into that circle, into that loop. I kept myself on the outside. And I regretted that leaving, because I'm thinking, man, when am I ever going to get to do that again?
Right.
And that's what I think everybody should look at life that way. Like, life is one big drum circle, and you should just get in there and dance and enjoy it and have some fun with it.
So obviously the market's going to be different for people to join your community depending on where they're coming from. You got somebody that has been working in industry or in a store or in a spot where they just, their roots are. And I know, yes, it is an excuse. They're going to say, well, wait a minute. I've been working here at Giant Foods as a store manager for the last 25 years. I can't just drop everything and go. You have a different mentality. You can do it fresh, because you're an entrepreneur and you're going to make money no matter where you go. Is that somebody that will never be a loop hacker, or is that somebody that you just have to work a little bit harder to convince them, or you're not looking to convince anybody? You really are looking more to the people that are gravitating towards you anyway.
I think it's for anybody. I really do. Because let's just say you are a store manager at a grocery store. You're not a store manager for 24 hours. You're a store manager for maybe 8, maybe 10. Maybe you're really cranking and you're doing 12 hours a day. There is still more time in your life to actually live whatever life it is that you wanted to live.
Mm-hmm.
there is time to do it. You still have responsibilities. Everybody does. But there is a period in your life where you're like, I want to do something else, or I feel something that's inside of your soul that says, I want to do something else. Then let's find the time to do that. Let's talk about how you can do that. Let's take one piece out of your life that was already there and put another piece in. So it's for anybody and everybody, because we all do. I got to be realistic. We have life. We have regular life we got to deal with. But God, if you want to call it, the universe gave us all the same thing. It's 24 hours in a day. What you do with it gets to decide what part of the loop you're on.
So Sandra, what happens next with your entire family? Do you guys just continue to, when do you see an end to the loop hacker, not the community, but do you see an end to the actual, some people might say, well, they're in the RV, they're escaping from life rather than they're running to life. So what do you say to them? And then do you feel like there is ever a feet on the ground, an earthing period where you just say, I own this earth that's under me, and this is where I'm staying?
I am answering this question being a type A, very have it together, administrative, organized person who likes to plan. I am taking it day to day.
Wow.
And you know what? What we're chasing here, not even chasing, what we're looking for on a day-to-day basis is how can we chase our happiest joy today? What can make us feel good in the moment? So whatever that looks at, that's where we're trying to head. And we get punched and hit and trip and fall and we have some things that keep us from our joy, but ultimately is our choice. So the only reason anybody wants anything at all in life is to feel good or to feel better. Yeah. So I think it's all about the feeling. How do I want to feel today? What's going to make me happy today?
Yeah. I've got an interesting example, and I know a lot of people go through this, and I try to use things that people go through on a regular basis. My parents, I love my parents. They're wonderful people, but my mom used to call me all the time, and I did what everybody else does. I'll get back to her later. And then I don't call, and I find a reason and an excuse. Since we've been on the road, I think I've spoken to my parents every single day on the phone.
Wow.
I'm sharing the experience of what I'm doing every day, and they're living through me. And my mom's like, she's like, I wish I could go with you. I know they physically can't. My dad's, unfortunately, he's handicapped. He can't do that. He's paralyzed from the waist down, so he can't. But every day I'm getting to share with them. So for all the people who have that thought of, wow, they're running away from life, it's not actually true. I'm actually running to life right now for sure. I'm sharing with my family. I'm not sending my parents to voicemail because I don't feel like talking, which is something that we all do. I'm actually picking up the phone and having a conversation and saying, hey, Mom, this is what my life was today.
So what happens next? Where do you guys go? What do you do? How do you enjoy yourself? What's happening next?
I'm enjoying myself every single day, to be honest. And we're here in Florida for a little bit. We're here, probably going to be here for 3 months because I still have, even though we've broken the loop, I still have responsibilities. I have to go back every week, back to DC and actually do events and work. So I'm flying back every week. I'm coming back out here during the week and living this life. We'll be here for a couple of months, and then we're going to sort of figure out where we're headed next.
Yeah, I think we want to do something along the lines of maybe meditation workshops and retreats or speaking engagements where we're really just talking to people like that supermarket manager who doesn't know where to start or how to shake anything up, how to live a life that you're just excited about.
Every day.
So so there's really not an end to it as far as, again, Sandra's taking it day by day. Fresh, it sounds like you're okay with doing the same thing. You've got a little bit more of a foothold on the old loop that you have, but so what happens in the long run, do you think?
A new RV.
we're literally just going to get a bigger RV. No. What the end result for me is the ability to be able to talk to people and allow people to have a voice and ask questions that they don't get to ask everybody else. So for me, taking entertainment and applying it to a speaking piece where someone can actually come and sit and ask questions, and ask all the questions that you can't ask your friends, because you know your friends are going to say, oh, wow, I think you're crazy. Or the questions you can't ask your parents. Hey, I was thinking about doing this. What are your thoughts on that? That's where I ultimately see all of this going.
Well, we had this conversation probably going back maybe even as much as 7 or 8 years ago. We were talking about, the idea of life coaching or coaching someone through some challenging, spots. And I love the idea of combining it with, everybody is very much into meditation, mindfulness meditation, loving kindness meditation, whatever it is that they, are trying to get to. They can get there through a little bit of leaning on a coach, leaning on some internal introspective thought, just the idea of being able to go within and do some meditation. That would be very cool also. I could easily see you guys in that particular role. And it sounds like the best way to get that started and build that list is through the community of Loop Hackers. And ultimately, I see you definitely building a meditative community, a coaching community, and something where you could actually turn this into a pretty good business, I would think.
Yeah, for sure. Like I said, meditation is a huge piece for me, huge piece for Sandra. It actually is what helped get me over the hump of the quietness or the depression or whatever it is you want to label it as. Meditation is what did that. So part of what we're doing is I want to talk to people about that. Take a moment and be quiet so that you can actually hear what the voice is saying in your head. What's it really talking to you about? Is it telling you that you're in a bad relationship, or maybe you're in a bad job, or maybe you just want to do something different? That's how we've tied all of it together. And it has really helped my life for sure. It allowed me to get to where I'm at right now. And I'm happy every day right now, every day.
So just put some reality into the meditation thing for just a second, because I know for me, when I was dealing with anxiety going back a handful of years ago, and I know that you were the recipient of many of the calls that I would, because I knew you knew what I was going through. So I'm like, I'm going to talk to Fresh about this and see what he has to say. For me, meditation was really just 10 minutes in the morning, 10 minutes in the evening. And although it took probably close to a year to really start to feel more confident and comfortable with myself, it was a life changer for me, even just those few minutes a day. And what is that advice that you can share, from your perspective?
Absolutely. So for me, I'm that guy. I don't want to meditate. Which is like a lot of people. I'm not doing that because that doesn't make any sense. Basically, that was my thought process. However, when everything started to shut down for me, I was so secluded. I had no out. And my wife, she's like, listen, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do this thing called Miracle Morning, and you're going to get up every morning, and you're going to meditate for 10 minutes, and you're going to write for 10 minutes, and you're going to read for 10 minutes. And I'm thinking, I don't want to do any of that. I don't want to meditate. I hate reading. I hate writing. I don't want to do it. But I was going through a bad time. So, and it was only 10 minutes. I mean, it's really not that long. I agreed to do it for 30 days. That's all it was. I said, I'm going to do it for 30 days. And to be honest, for the first 12 of those 30 days, I didn't really do it. I didn't. I pretty much sat there with my eyes closed, in my mind going, this is the stupidest thing I could possibly do. I fought every single second of it. And then I realized one day, I was like, I'm only fighting myself.
Yeah.
That doesn't make any sense. So just like you, it was hard. Took you a long time. Same thing with me. I was just fighting me. And then, as she said earlier I eventually just surrendered. And it was a surrender to ultimately myself, to give myself enough freedom to actually go, hey, it's okay to not have your hands on the wheel of life for a second.
Yeah.
Let it go.
It was
so I did
that first those first, I would say, couple of weeks. I remember I couldn't even sit still for that 10 minutes. My eyes would, as I closed my eyes and sat there in trying to get into some sort of meditation, even just mindfulness meditation where you're just focusing on your breath. I remember my eyelids were quivering. I couldn't keep them closed. It was actually scary. It was anxiety producing that I couldn't even keep my eyelids closed. And then your brain kicks in and you start worried about, I'll never be able to do this. And then you start having anxiety over that. And the anxiety creates more anxiety. And it's like, it was horrible.
And that's what happened for me. Same thing. I was freaking out in my head. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I'm not doing it. I don't even see what people are talking about. I'm never going to get there. I was beating the story all the way around. I was beating myself up.
Yeah.
Before I ever even got a chance to meditate, I was beating myself up because I couldn't keep my eyes closed or I couldn't sit still. That's the process for all of life, it seems. So look, at the end of the story, I ended up saying, stop fighting yourself and just let go. And I did. I surrendered. And then it took me a couple more days. And before you know it, I was actually in a space where I was finding calm. And I'll be honest, there's 10 million thoughts that start running through your head. I was like, oh my gosh, there's everything I can think of. But then I realized if you just relax and just be still for a little bit, it'll be okay.
It will be okay. It is always okay. I mean, that's the best part about it. And I love it. I love your message and I love what you guys are all about. And really where you are going is such a far cry from where you have been. And that is inspiration for so many people that are out there. The ones that know you, I'm sure that they're thinking, what the hell is he doing? What the hell are they doing? The ones that don't know you, you're probably a whole different person than you were in that entertainer's lifestyle, I'm sure.
Yeah. Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
And everybody, even the people that know me, they can see it. They're like, man, you just seem happy. I am. I'm happy. And we have a long road to go, but it starts with just taking one of those pegs out of the loop, just one at a time. And I think you can find it. I think anybody can find it.
So, Nice Guy community, I know that, we've been all over the place with this, talking about meditation and hacking your own loop that is out there and the potentially what you might be thinking are the drastic moves between where you are now and where you need to be. And like Fresh and Sandra are saying, you don't have to go, 180 degrees. You just have to take maybe one peg out of that wheel in order to hack that loop. So check out loophackers.com. It is an online community that they are building right now. And if you wanted more information about it, just go to loophackers.com. They have a Facebook group and an Instagram following as well. So make sure that you check out the links in the show notes for that as well. Fresh and Sandra, I know this has been a big move for you, and I'm excited for you. I have loved keeping track of your progress. And Fresh, you and I have a chance every once in a while to catch up. But I'm looking forward to one of those stops you having out in Los Angeles so that we can hang out together as a group again.
We're definitely coming for sure. This has been great.
So Nice Guy community, never underestimate the power of nice, and never underestimate the idea of hacking your own loop at loophackers.com. Check out their information. It's right there in the show notes. Steve O'Brien, go ahead and take us out of here.
For the Nice Guys on Business, I'm Steve O'Brien. Do you think they could have rambled on any longer today? Blah, bitty, blah, bitty, blah, bitty, blah. If I die, you guys are going to feel like crap.